We are Team Initiator. Whether that's the perfect name or not, I don't know. We had to discuss that. That's kind of what we did all yesterday. So it was the sprinting up new Spryker stores. Well, yeah, there's our faces in case you can't see now. Yeah, the strapline in the Miro board was localized development environment setup. And I think we found yesterday we each had some different ideas about what that meant. But we kind of settled on easily getting in different language, different localized versions of the store. There's various different ways of doing it already, but we want to make it quick and easy. So it can also be built as part of the DevOps process, because that's what some of us have struggled with. So we want to be able to inject like the English or any other store that we want to get in at any time. Yeah, I tried to animate it a little bit. At the moment, we can adjust the config files. We can go through and manually generate new code bucket folders as needed, and there's also a feature in the back office we found, which we didn't know about at the start yesterday, but we now know, thanks to Hidran, that you can go in and click a store button and choose some choices and add in the new stores. So we thought, let's try and hook into what's there already rather than trying to invent completely new, so that as the Spryker team add new features in the future, our tool takes advantage. So we decided to try and automate and speed this up, do it from a command line, essentially. We were going to do a console command for it, but I think I went off to have a drink and a coffee and something, came back and they changed it, which is probably a good decision. So we've gone for a separate tool. So the idea is that you download Spryker as you would normally from Git. You get this new tool that they've made, and then you run the command line on the new tool. And this tool makes adjustments to the config files of Spryker. So the idea is that any config file, not just the language files, any config file can be adjusted. So rather than adjusting the original config files, you've got all the changes you've made in a separate project, which is all under source control and a history. So rather than having to make changes, and then, what change did I do last Tuesday? I can't remember. Is it just part of the normal or the changes? I know from what I've seen from projects in the past is when it comes around to upgrading Spryker, the problem comes with the changes the partners and customers have done rather than upgrading vanilla versions of Spryker. So we're trying to keep records of that. And the idea is that, well, each implementation now can have a separate source control project of the config changes that are made. You end up with your own, if I go back, you end up with your own copy of this for each project. So that's the idea. Demo time. Well, do you want to narrate the code?
We spoke in the video. So.
Oh, you spoke in the video. Okay.
So here you can see a copy of the demo shop. Or you can here you can see a copy of the current B2B demo shop. As you can see here, I have no changes. And then on the other project, we have our initiator.
Live now.
And basically what it does, it generates such a folder for you where all the config files lie inside. And you also have, or could have, a project JSON file where you adjust all your stores which you want to have, also the namespace, and this could be adjusted as we want. So in the future we could think of even a modules section where you could adjust the modules, and then it would only spin up those modules for you. So we have two commands. The first one would just create those generated folder. So it just asked me if I want to keep the changes which I made. I just overwrite it. And then I get kind of this folder here, which you've seen here.
Yeah, I mean, it was already there before, so you might not.
It was just overwritten.
See something crazy changing, but yeah.
And then I would run a second command. And this is just, here I can just give it the path to the demo shop. And if I run that, it says patching is done. And in my demo shop, you should see the changes which have been made. So it, for example, adjusted the deploy YAML file according to our needs. And then I could just bootstrap this file and spin up the new configured job. So we can start with the questions. It will take some time, but I will show you later when it's done.
Thank you. Let's start with the applause.
It's a question.
How do you edit files?
Should I answer? Or?
Yeah, go ahead.
So basically, the way you would do it is the tool has some like tweak files to generate the like dev YAML files, config files. And so if you want something new in the tool to happen, you would of course need to change those tweak files. But if you just want to add a new store or something, you just change this like project JSON file that we've shown earlier. And then he would, using the tweak, generate the stuff in the files accordingly. And yeah, right now it's not all like 100% complete, because a challenge would be also with the CSV files that you need for the importers as well. He doesn't like create all of them in all the languages right now, but we prepared with the YAML files and the importer YAML files as well. So that is the approach.
I'm going to add something as well. On other systems, other projects, I've seen something like this where it's useful where if a partner or a customer has been making changes to their vanilla version of Spryker, the engineering team can ask for a copy of this to see what all the customers are doing with Spryker. So you can get like a feedback of, well, these guys are adding 15 languages, these guys are adding 20 languages. These guys are, without having to get the whole copy of Spryker back again, you get just the customizations coming back. And so you can look at a comparison of what's being done with it. That can be kind of useful.
Yeah, and also we kept in mind that we have to update our template files according to the Spryker releases. So it's a TikTok match with you now.
Yeah.
So that when you release new deploy YAMLs, we will have to integrate them, update them, so that even the the developer can just fetch the new Initiator tool, kept his package JSON, his project JSON, just run the tool anew and get the new deployment files.
What about manual adjustments of the YAML files in your project? They will be gone after the initiator was executed, right?
Well, it's up to you. You can also adjust the initiator templates.
Okay, yeah.
But
Yeah.
if you're able to put everything in your project YAML file, then of course it will be regenerated, right?
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
should be, that should be possible. then.
It's like that classic discussion of should you edit live or edit on the dev machine and push through to live. Anything you've edited live gets overwritten the next time someone does a publish.
It's a question of policy that we want
Yes.
to do there.
Yeah.
So don't touch these files. They are auto-generated by our initiator.
If as a team you use the initiator, that's what the whole team has to use.
Yeah.
But our first approach was first project setup. Nobody wants to hassle with the config files, and even the DevOps are crying sometimes. Which files do I need to adjust? Have I missed something? And that's what we wanted to take off of them. Just do it.
Any more questions or suggestions for improvement?
Yeah, my typical question: what would be your expected impact? So, how much money do you save?
Or time?
All time.
Just one.
Yeah, I guess it's probably hard to give now exact estimation. I'm a more or less a Spryker customer, so I have only one project to worry about, but I feel like people working in an agency, it's like you have to always probably start with a demo shop when you have a new project with a new customer, and then you spend some time configuring it. Maybe a customer doesn't want one feature, like the demo shop is more, have everything wired up, but also demonstration purposes, more or less of a lot of features some a customer might not want. So someone might have only one store, one region. And then if you use this tool, you just would set up one JSON file where you have your configuration, what you actually want. You run the tool, you patch the demo shop, and then you're already more ready to go and you spend less time removing stuff or changing stuff around. So I think for the initial start of a project, this could probably save a lot of time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And what about the other features that Docker YAML deploy YAML file provides? It's a configuration for Docker SDK, right? And Docker SDK comes with many features, not only multi-store management, but for example, regional and service management. So you can say what regions, what services you're getting. How do you work with these features? So you basically right now you ignore them, or you say if you want to enable usage or configuring them, you need to work with your tool to improve it. What is your approach here?
Well, initially we started off doing it just for languages. And then it dawned on us this morning, well, actually, we can do it for anything. There's a YAML file or a config file. So it can certainly be extended. Yeah. But we haven't tested or played with all the other features. And if it just needs to adjust the YAML file and then trigger something in PHP, then the project can do it.
Yeah. Okay, I see. Yeah, I just feel that it might be complicated, especially with if Docker SDK releases a new feature to be recognized in your tool, because its tool uses a YAML file to communicate to Docker SDK, right? So developers might not know about both, and they would need to learn and Docker SDK functionality and YouTube functionality to actually make something enabled. That's my concern.
Yeah, that makes
True,
sense.
but it's stored in GitHub, and one developer around the world or a team can add the changes, and everyone gets it.
Yeah, and it's very interesting. It might be even more interesting tool this tool might be more interesting as a service. So basically, you a multi-tenant service published that you can just run it through and get your files in. And as developers, you always operate with one instance of this tool. You don't have multi of them. It's not per project. It's not per agency. It's one time, right? And you get files back that you can integrate in your project. And that's how we could keep up with updates on both sides, right?
Yeah.
You don't need to update it all the time. It's like SaaS service out of your tool.
Yeah, I feel like you could have a wizard like you might know from other technologies where you have some GUI. You go in your browser and you say, this is the name, this is my theme color, my company logo. I want this store configuration, and then it generates all the files that the SDK needs to spin up. That would be the future concept that we are selling.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you.